What is up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to FudgeMuppet. I'm Scott, and this is part 2 of the Pyromaniac, and here, my friends, is how to level it up. So, what we're going to do straight off the bat is dump a good amount into repair, because we've already got energy weapons and explosives to 50, and we're going to pick our first necessary perk, essential perk, which is Heave Ho, so we can throw all our grenades nice and far. So we'll do another point dump into repair, and then we'll start working on our energy weapons. And what do we have here? Now look, I'm actually going to pick Cannibal for this perk, just for role-playing, because I like the idea of some like crazy pyromaniac charring his victims and eating them, and you know, cooking himself some steak, some nice old human steak, medium rare. So we'll pick Cannibal, but you know, any option. This is just an example. This is the necessary perks plus example. So yes, we'll get 60 explosives, and then we will go into energy weapons. Now here we'll have Demolitions Expert rank 1, done. Go into energy weapons again, and then we'll go into explosives, and then we'll get, unless I can see anything, nope, Demolitions Expert 2. Then we'll get more into explosives. And now I think we should start focusing on repair a bit, and we'll see why. Nothing here. Hold on. Demolitions Expert again. Then we have repair again. And there is a reason we're working on repair, and that's so we can get jury rigging, which is a very, very handy perk. Now I would say, me personally, just to be smart about it, in order out of hit the deck and splash damage, I'd get hit the deck, you know, the higher damage threshold against explosives, including your own, before you get splash damage, so it gives you that extra protection in case you do end up hitting yourself. So I say get hit the deck, then we'll get our repair up again. That's plenty. Now we'll focus on energy weapons and explosives. Now we're level 14, we can get jury rigging straight off the bat. I'd normally say get that as early as possible. What we'll do is, yeah, let's just get that now, right? Finish up our energy weapons. Now finish up our explosives. And what we're going to get now is our splash damage perk. So now we've got, more explosives range. And we'll get that up to 100. We've got all our major skills max. See, with Intelligence 1, for a character like this, you don't need, obtuse amounts of skill points, because we're using very few skills. So we're going into our minor skill, minor skills. What am I talking about? Now, so that's melee. Now we've got hit the deck. We've got everything. We're level 18. Whoa! I know one perk we are missing. And there we are. Should have picked this a lot earlier, okay? But you can still pick it at this point. It really depends, but 50% more damage, it's pretty vital to this kind of character. So normally I'd pick it earlier. I'd swap it out for a rank of Demolitions Expert or whatever. But regardless, the idea is this is just to show you the ultimate character ending kind of thing, or an example of what I would do. So let's pick that. Pyromaniac, and we'll keep working on that melee weapons, getting it higher and higher. And now we do have option of solar powered, which gives us 2 extra points of strength, giving us a full 10 strength in sunlight, plus we slowly regenerate health. So this will help our melee weapons, and plus it's the reason I chose that as a minor skill is because it's sort of as a perk, is it fits in with the whole like obsessed with the sun, and obsessed with fire, and the sun is a big ball of fire, and it's all sort of, you know what I mean, you get the theme. Anyway, I think Meltdown, like Michael used in the video, is a really good idea, because the flamethrower does give that effect. You don't have to, but it just adds more damage, and it's kind of cool. So we'll get Meltdown. Now say melee weapons again, max that melee weapons. And then as a secondary, look, we don't have any other minor skills that we said in the video, but I'd probably start hitting up medicine, just because after all those explosives and stuff, there's a good chance you could hit yourself. We're not using any perks. I'll have a look. one thing, here's some, I'll just give you some quick suggestions, and with ones I'll pick. Well, I'll do Adamantium Skeleton, 50% reduced limb damage, especially if we're using explosives. So we just want to make ourselves like really resilient against explosives in case we do have a little mishap. Keep going in medicine. Keep going in medicine again and again and again. Some other options are Mad Bomber if you do want to create more explosives than just the incendiary grenades and so on. You can do that. Stonewall, not being able to be knocked down, and a damage threshold against melee and unarmed attacks is pretty decent. So we can't have things like death claws and stuff that will get knocking us down, and we're also in close with a flamethrower. So I'd pick that. Yeah, so because besides our thrown explosives, we're in quite close range using our flamethrower. Hence why we picked all this endurance. Look, if we're gonna go, if we want to focus on our melee weapons, in using the Gehenna, Super Slam's a good idea, or Unstoppable Force. What other options do we have? Nope, let's go back to Super Slam. I think Super Slam is one of the better options. So let's Super Slam it up. So now we can, knock down our enemies as well. Really handy for things like death claws and really high damage enemies. Just knock them down, and then you could pull out your flamethrower and burn them away. Although you should be able to just, conquer them anyway. But that's it. We are level 30, so we have the choice of a final perk. Don't really need that. Let's have a look. Better criticals is always a good one. I'm thinking maybe this, burning people up, or Bloody Mess is another cool option, but I think better criticals. We've already got the critical hit chance from the Built to Destroy trait, so I think this with extra damage, where we've already got like a relatively highish, we've got 6 luck. I think it'll just be nice to get this and finish it off. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That was an example of how to level up the Pyromaniac. I would just suggest getting the Pyromaniac perk a little bit earlier than I did, but that's up to you. Anyways, thank you very much, and tune in all our social media. Thanks for tuning in. Ciao, ciao.